Good evening from Australia, in Sydney. In Sydney, we've been very lucky. In Australia, indeed, we've been very lucky. And COVID cases have been very low for a very long time, and in some cases are zero in many of our states. And that means that Australian cities have been turning their heads to recovery, albeit in the new normal of COVID world, pending the vaccine, of course. And in this thinking, it's clear that for a while we're going to be living and working and playing differently. At the beginning of the year, there was a lot of intense uncertainty surrounding everyone globally. And we did some thinking around what that meant for us in our cities and in our suburbs. We produced a number of thought pieces. Superbia was one of them, where we looked at our suburbs and we hypothesized what might happen in our suburbs as we come out into recovery. And of course, this thinking is now well established that our suburbs need to do more for us. We've been working with Victorian government to look at 400 of Melbourne's suburbs to determine just how those suburbs can benefit from economic recovery. We've developed activity centre safety, open air trade, buy local campaigns and meanwhile uses, and also systemic change around governance and funding. Our recommendations are now the Victorian Minister for Planning, and we hope to radically change the fortunes of many of the suburbs in Melbourne. And then on the flip side of that, we're looking at the city. And when we think about our cities, really the opportunity for our cities going forward is not necessarily certain. What is the future of the CBD? When will our tourists come back? What needs to change? What should stay the same post-COVID, and what will draw people into the city again? We're working with the Committee for Sydney and many different partners and stakeholders with significant levels of collaboration unseen before in this environment to try and solve what our cities would be going into the future. And then to how we play. This is a fundamental human requirement to have access to open space and to nature, and I think that's something that's well understood now at a global scale. Something that perhaps wasn't really understood before. We've written a charter with the Department of Planning, Industry and Environment here in New South Wales, and it focuses on creating quality spaces, looking at environmental, economic, social and cultural values of public space. And there's a number of trends and drivers that lead to quality public spaces, and we've developed 10 principles for spaces in Sydney. Interestingly, what that's led to is an open spaces competition. And the industry submitted over 500 entries for this recent competition. I'm pleased to say that my team won the Minister's Award for their submission, which was to take a disused water pipe and to turn it into a biodiverse linear park and cycleway.